I feel like this light is really poorly placed.
All right. You ready?
Yeah.
Let me just clear my throat here. All right. This is my Life is a Movie quote. I've lost count of episode numbers, but Keith, you're back.
I am.
You're,
Let's say it's episode 534.
yes. You're like the de facto co-host, if that makes sense.
Well, that's exciting.
So, do you want to hear about what's coming up on the podcast after tonight?
Sure. I would love to.
So I just finished. I subscribed to Hulu, which I avoided for years because I hate Hulu. I don't know why, but I just really hate Hulu.
Okay.
But I watched the O.J. Simpson Made in America documentary.
Okay. So I'm confused about that because is that the documentary that's nominated for an Oscar?
Yes, it's
But is it multiple? It's multiple things.
yeah, it's 5 parts. Hulu had it in 3 parts, and it's 7 hours long. So,
Oh my God.
I mean, I could have sat down and watched all 7 hours at once.
Really?
You should watch it. It's that good.
Yeah. That's a lot of time, though.
I mean, you don't have to watch it at
How
once.
much? It is 5 parts, and each part is in how? Wait,
Um,
but it's in 3 parts, but you're watching it.
So Hulu has it in 3 parts. 2 parts are over 3 hours, and the last part's like an hour and a half.
Okay.
And it's awesome. So that's coming up next week. Josh Bissonette and I are going to talk about that.
Okay.
He had to cancel this week.
Okay. All right.
And then I'm hoping to do one on some Oscar shorts. I don't know if you're interested in coming on and doing a podcast on the Oscar shorts.
Sure, that would be fun. They start playing here around sometime in February.
So I'm going to be back home in 2 weeks, and maybe
Okay.
I can go see him
Okay.
when I'm back home.
Okay.
So that's coming up on the podcast. But tonight, we're going to talk about our favorite film opening sequences.
Okay. This was tricky.
Yeah, it's fun because a lot of people remember the ending and not the beginning.
Hmm.
And I just saw La La Land, I think 2 or 3 days ago. Did you re-see it after?
I have not re-seen it. I've been trying to see many other things, but I have not re-seen that.
So, just to recap, you had a bad experience seeing it.
I did. I think we determined, talking to Matt DeGennaro, who we still have to have on the podcast. I think I
Yes.
determined that when the movie theaters don't change the lens from a 3D projection to a regular projection, it darkens the image. So I'm guessing that's probably what occurred there.
Well, you definitely have to re-see it because, and in a movie theater too. It won't be the same if you just watch it at home.
Yeah.
The cinematography is amazing, and the opening scene on the highway, I think it's one continuous shot,
Hmm.
and they must have had to shut down part of the highway in L.A. to shoot it.
I read, where did I read about that? But they did, because you can see there's cars going by like underneath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as I was watching it, I was like, well, L.A. traffic is supposed to be pretty awful already, and they had to close off a whole street to shoot
Yeah.
the scene.
Can you imagine?
I can't.
Because at first, when I saw it, the first thing I thought of, like, okay, they're totally green screening all that stuff in the background. There's no way they could do this on a highway.
I was thinking the
But
same thing.
I forgot where I read it now because it was a really interesting article. But if you Google it, you'll probably find it. But it talks about how they did close down the street.
That guy, so Damien Chazelle, is that how you say it?
I think so.
He's from Providence, or he was born in Providence, Rhode Island.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And
Can we get him to come talk at school?
I know. You might be able to. You should reach out to him. He also did Whiplash last year, which I'm a big fan of as well. He's a music guy, I guess.
Hmm.
So, but all right. So let's just jump into it. So
Okay.
I've been thinking about it a lot, and the sort of obvious ones come to mind. Let's start with this question: what do you consider the greatest opening sequence in movie history?
You need to go first because I got to see where you're starting from. I think that's so. I mean, so you contacted me a few hours ago and said, "Get on this podcast. This is what we're doing." I was like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah.
So I started to pull. I just opened my video cabinet and I started to pull things and I took a look at a few things. I want you to go first.
Well, I don't know. Okay, so I asked the question. I don't know the answer.
Yeah.
I can think of obvious examples that we would watch over and over again in film classes.
Mm-hmm.
I think 2001: A Space Odyssey with the bone. You know that scene where they throw the bone up in the air, And then I kind of think about like Star Wars, how it sort of that giant ship that flies over.
And the words.
The words, yeah. Does that count as an opening? That's kind of like opening
Sure.
credits. Okay.
I mean, the thing is that opening, it was hard because I literally pulled out. I have a pile of movies here with me too, and I wrote some things down.
Okay. Well,
But what would you? I don't know if I could answer in film history. I can't even. It was really hard for me to think of opening scenes. Like you said, you sort of remember what the ending of the movie is, probably more than how the movie starts.
so do you have a favorite?
Well, I just pulled a bunch of stuff, and I feel like, and then I started looking up more on the internet, and I feel like a lot of them have a theme going through them,
Okay.
which is just music. So I looked at, like, for example, well, since this is a video, look, I can hold up, like, so I started looking at this.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
Hard Day's Night with the Beatles. So that just starts with the music, and it's the Beatles running through the streets with girls chasing them. Have
Yeah.
you seen this movie?
Oh, yeah, a bunch of times
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah. So I think that works really well.
Yeah.
But if I name them all off, I feel like we're gonna be done.
Well, let's talk about A Hard Day's Night for a second. So I haven't
Okay.
seen that movie in a few years, but from what I remember, it's kind of just it's not a documentary, but it's the Beatles being the Beatles, being really famous, which is
Right.
what was happening at the time.
Right.
And they're just kind of being chased, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I think, it almost seems like it's just another vehicle for the music. I mean, there's not much going on here. And if you look at it, just the opening, it sort of could exist on its own as almost a music video.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not even singing. They're just running. There's still shots of them hiding, things like that.
And this movie, I believe the album they wrote it for the movie, correct?
Wait, say that one more time.
I think they wrote this album for the movie.
Oh, really? I don't know.
I believe so. I went
Okay.
through a pretty big Beatles phase in my youth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. In your youth.
In my
Wait,
youth.
when you were how old?
I think I was probably 10 or 11.
Okay.
Um,
How did you get introduced to the Beatles in the first place?
My dad has like hundreds and hundreds of CDs. He's a big music
Okay.
fan. So
Okay.
I don't know how it. Everybody loves the Beatles, so I eventually just
Okay.
found them in that collection, I think. And I go through different obsessions every year, and that one lasted a few years. So,
Okay.
and I saw Help as well. I don't really like Help as much.
Yeah, I don't think it's as good as this film.
No, but that's an interesting one. I didn't even think about that. All right, what else you got in there?
So the other thing that this made me think of is Prince's Purple Rain. And so, but the thing is, I don't have access to that, I don't think. So I literally tried to go on YouTube and search opening of Purple Rain. So when did Prince die? This last year, right?
Yeah,
I
only a
think
few months ago.
2016.
Yep.
So when he died, they re-released it in theaters, and the closest place that it was playing was at the Lowe's Copley in Boston. And
Yep.
so I drove up there for a matinee, and it was really interesting because I had never seen it in the movie theater. And again, that's like it just opens with the song.
Yep.
And so I was trying to find the opening scene, and I found parts of the script, and that was really interesting to read because all it is action statements. There's no dialogue,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it just says, the Mecca, the last stop for a band before national fame. The huge cavernous hall is packed. People are dancing like mad. Video screens with wild graphics hang suspended from the ceilings. Beautiful waitresses crisscross the floor in a frenzy. Prince is center stage, lips caressing the mic. Black, lustrous hair shining, eyes dancing, singing Let's Go Crazy as the crowd pulsates beneath laser lights.
Whoa.
And like all these words are capitalized. And then it goes on to talk about like, well, did they capitalize too many words? But it's interesting to watch because it's just a performance, And then it's mixed in with a lot of close-ups of like the people in the club or the people in the band, and it's very 80s and very sort of like crazy, and like everybody looks nuts, and so it was interesting.
So fill me in here because I'm sort of ignorant when it comes to Prince.
Okay.
Is this movie a music documentary or is this?
No, it's a narrative. I think I think partly it's based on his own life,
Yep.
but he is acting in it.
Is he any good?
The story. So again, I remember the music. I didn't really remember the movie. When we went to see the movie, the music was really the best part of it. The
Yeah.
acting, But all the songs, again, like you could like cut out each song part and it would almost be a music video. But it's about it's about a struggling artist, and he his father's abusive, the father beats the mother, and he escapes in his music, and then he meets a girl and he falls in love with her, and that whole thing.
So this won one Oscar in 1985.
For what? Something music related?
Yeah, it won Best Music and Original Song Score, and Prince himself won the Oscar.
Okay. All right.
So the song "Purple Rain," that's like his big famous song, right?
I mean, the soundtrack had many. I think the soundtrack had probably like 3 or 4 hits on it.
And they were written before the movie came out, right?
Yeah. I don't know. Now I want to go look to see how these two things relate. I mean, when this movie came out, I was in 4th grade, so I wasn't going to go see an R-rated movie in the movie theater, but I had the record, so I knew all the songs.
Yeah.
But it was interesting because none of these openings, nobody's talking in them.
Yeah.
Are there any openings that you have where people are actually speaking?
Yeah, I have a couple. So at first I was thinking like, okay, is it a continuous shot that I'm talking about, or is it like just an opening sequence? So I think I'm talking about opening sequences.
Okay.
But I can think about one of my favorite opening scenes that doesn't have any talking, and it goes on for like 20 minutes.
Okay.
And that would be There Will Be Blood in 2007, Paul Thomas Anderson.
Okay.
And that is Daniel Day-Lewis. Well, first it opens. Have you seen it recently? Or
I feel like I've only seen parts of it.
Okay, so it opens with this like really sort of uncomfortable music. It's like I don't know how to describe it, but it's almost like razor blades on a guitar or something. It just sounds really sort of uncomfortable. And then it's like this really wide shot of the desert. And then the first sort of 20 minutes are just Daniel Day-Lewis trying to get oil out of the ground.
Okay.
And there's no dialogue.
Yeah, you know what? I feel like that I saw this in some type of presentation. Somebody used this scene to exemplify something. I don't really know what.
It was probably me, if you're talking about one of your classes.
All right.
But that I found really impressive. I've always tried, and like I haven't made any movies in college, but I was always like playing around with the idea of trying to do a 5-minute opening with no dialogue.
Okay.
Which I think is really hard to do effectively and not be boring. And
right.
This wasn't boring, and it was done very effectively, and it's just amazing. And I was just reading today that that movie won Best Cinematography in 2007.
Okay.
So you should definitely go watch it.
All right, I just wrote it down.
It is on Hulu, by the way.
Really?
Yes. It was on Netflix as well.
It's funny, I don't picture Hulu a place to go see movies. I think of Hulu as a place to go watch TV shows.
Well, I literally just came upstairs from watching Seinfeld because they have all of Seinfeld on there.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, Josh and I were just talking about this, that Hulu's kind of getting better recently.
Yeah.
But you have to pay extra for no commercials, which I don't like.
Okay.
But that's one of my favorite opening scenes, and that's pretty recent. That was 2007, I think.
Okay.
I have a lot of recent movies on here.
Okay, and I do not.
Oh, perfect. So let's do back and forth. So now you have to do another one.
All right, so I have to do another one. So I will talk about now this movie, which I like, Before Sunset.
Before Sunset, yeah.
Right? So this movie I thought of when you mentioned it to me because I know one of the interesting things about this movie is that it opens showing none of the characters but all the places that the characters will eventually go to.
Oh, awesome.
Which I really like. And the film before it ends with going back to all the places the characters have actually been to.
Right. Now that you say that, I've only seen Before Sunrise, which is, that's the first one, right?
All right. Put the other two on your list.
Okay. I believe that might be on Hulu.
Did you like Before Sunrise?
I thought it was awesome.
Okay. Then you'll like the other. You'll be interested to see what happens to these people over the next 20 years. Yeah, but it doesn't, it's literally just static camera in every place that they'll go. I mean, people are walking around because it's I forget what city they are in.
In the first one, are they in Budapest, I think?
No, they're in Paris here.
Okay.
Because it's where she goes back to her apartment. So it shows like where her building is and the bookstore and the park they walk through and all that stuff. And then it finally cuts to the beginning scene where the main character is doing a Q&A from the book that he just wrote, which is about the relationship that happened in the first movie.
So in the first movie, he is what, in college, or he's really young, right?
Yeah, then he's traveling through Europe, and he convinces her to get off the train with him where
Yeah.
he's going. Yeah, and they walk around and spend the night together.
It literally is just that first movie is just them walking for like an hour
Yeah.
and a half.
And guess what this movie is?
Walking for an hour and a half?
Yeah. After she meets him in the bookstore, they just walk and they end up at her apartment, and that's where the film ends.
What I remember about the first movie is there was little to no music at all.
Yeah, there's like I think 3. I forget now. Yeah, there's one part where they walk up and somebody's playing like a harp or something like that.
Yeah.
And they go to the record store and they listen to a record together. And I think that might be it.
So what's the film term? There's no non-diegetic music in that movie.
Right, which really brings me to another choice I have here. But yeah, so everything in here, right, is diegetic.
Yeah, and before we get off the Before trilogy,
Sure.
even though I've only seen the first one, I remember in one of your classes we actually watched that 13-minute. Is that an opening scene? The 13-minute car shot where they're in the car and it's a continuous take.
Oh,
Before midnight, I'm talking about.
Before midnight. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
That's one take.
The most impressive part of that scene is the sleeping child actor in the back
Yeah.
seat.
Yeah.
So,
Did you? So I showed that to you, or you didn't see that at South by Southwest when we went?
No, I went the year after that.
Okay.
But you showed us that whole 13-minute scene.
Okay.
And
There's like one cutaway at one point, and that's it.
yeah. So they must have done that multiple times then.
Yeah, I feel like he talked about it's long.
Yeah.
I think they did it a few times. It's crazy. I would never. I mean, well, first of all, they're dealing with budgets that we've never even dreamt about. But can you imagine trying to orchestrate something like that?
I wouldn't. And I almost felt like it went on too long. I don't know how you feel.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, the first time I saw it, I was so excited to see it that I really didn't care so much because I was really interested in what they were saying.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess, 13 minutes is a long time.
Yeah.
You know, especially if you're waiting to see like where this is going.
Yeah.
You know,
I wonder if the actors, like, that can't all be scripted, right?
I think for all the movies, it was all scripted, but they do a really good job at making it seem like it's not.
I've just noticed, I'm looking at the budgets and
Okay.
Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. That's box office. Hold on. I was thinking that all the budgets get bigger as each movie, which might be true, but I can't tell. But I've only seen the first one. I have to see the next two.
All right, check Hulu.
I like Ethan Hawke. He's a good
They
actor.
just came out. They just came out with a Criterion Collection for all 3.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is there a way to like subscribe to that?
You know what? I feel like at this point there may be.
Yeah.
Or you know what? I think I read that there might be another streaming service that's not Netflix that has all the Criterion on it.
That's really cool.
I don't know what that is. I'm gonna write that.
So even the third movie is Criterion 2013.
They're packaged all together.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, so I guess I'll go now.
Okay.
So my next one is a Quentin Tarantino movie,
Okay.
Inglourious Bastards from 2009.
Okay.
Have you seen this?
I have.
The opening scene of Christoph Waltz going to the dairy farm.
Mm-hmm.
I really love that, and it's almost at this point like a cliche to say that it's a great
Sure.
opening scene, but I think it's done so well, and I think Quentin Tarantino even said that might be his favorite sequence he's ever written in his career. But nobody loves Tarantino more than himself, so.
I think Aviv used to use that scene when he would do screenwriting workshops.
It's probably the perfect example of a
Yeah.
great opening scene. But
Yeah.
I thought Christoph Waltz in that movie was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So,
A lot.
have you
Go
seen
ahead.
it recently?
I haven't seen it recently. No.
No, just one.
Is that on Hulu too?
I don't know. I'd have to. It was on Netflix for a while.
I did just happen to come across what are we calling it? The Hateful Eight again over Christmas.
I haven't seen The Hateful Eight.
You haven't?
No.
That's very good too.
Did you see the Roadshow showing of it when it?
I did, yeah.
So in
but now
79?
so I'm trying to think. That starts with sort of these vast shots of a horse and buggy driving across like a snowy mountain.
Yeah.
Right, and the whole first section of that movie is in that horse-drawn carriage with Kurt Russell and what's her name?
Somebody that was more famous back in the
In the
day.
80s.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is her name?
I'm looking it up right now.
Okay, it's driving me crazy.
Oh, let's see. My internet's going slow. Jennifer Jason Leigh.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
I think I heard somewhere that he used the same lenses that were used on Lawrence of Arabia to shoot this movie.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's pretty awesome.
There's tons of stuff online that you can that they talk about that technology stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the image was huge. Like, it was great to see it in the theater like that because it was huge.
Well, doesn't most of the movie take place inside of like a cabin?
So then, so once they get there, the whole thing takes place in the haberdashery. Yeah.
It's interesting.
Minnie's haberdashery.
He has this like really wide space to work with, but he decides to shoot the whole movie inside.
Right.
That's Tarantino.
Right. Well, but there's a lot of characters, and they're sort of in different places in that space.
Okay.
You know, and then there's some characters that are there that you don't know that they're there. So it's really, I really, really enjoyed it. I mean, it's very, very violent, like his stuff tends to be, but it was good.
Do you find, I don't know if we've talked about this before, but you're a teacher of film, right? Do you find that a lot of people try and imitate his style a lot in your classes?
That style's probably hard to imitate. You know, we've been getting. I mean, I've seen some imitations. I'm trying to think if I've seen any Tarantino imitations. There was. I don't really feel like. I don't know if I had Quentin Tarantino imitations.
I think I was kind of like that.
Really?
My first movie was sort of a hitman.
Killing Clyde Sanders.
Yeah, sort of a hitman comedy.
But I mean, I feel like he has a very. I mean, his style though is like, it's like graphic, but yet you're laughing at things that you probably should be disgusted by.
It's like a cartoon.
Yeah.
And he's a pretty good example of really good opening sequences, like even Pulp Fiction with the restaurant. I think that's really great.
Oh yeah. And then that it ends with that same scene, and you go back there because you're finding everything that happens.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like we should screen those things. I'm like, so we're having a screening this week. We're trying to screen something that's connected to the Academy Awards, and the only thing that's available that I haven't seen already is that film Loving, which is about the interracial relationship in the 60s, which is based on a true story. It's nominated for Best Actress. So we're going to watch that on next Thursday.
So that's the only one that's not in the theaters anymore?
No, that's the only one that we can actually see online now that I haven't seen already.
Did you see Hell or High Water?
Well, I was going to watch that tonight.
Oh, okay.
But now that I'm doing this, I'm not sure.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. No worries.
Well, now you can show Hell or High Water in class then.
I know, right?
I've heard it's pretty good. It kind of came out of nowhere when they announced.
Yeah, I have never heard about it before.
Yeah,
I didn't even know it existed. I did go see Silence last weekend.
How was that?
Very long.
Yeah.
I could not make it through without running to the restroom really quickly.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the moment that I picked to leave, it was a pivotal moment in the movie. I found out when the ending happened, and I said to my cousin who I was with, I was like, "What was that?" And she's like, "Oh, that's the thing when you got." And I was like, "No, I wasn't here for that part." You know, it's 3 hours, and I leave the 5 minutes of when something occurs that's important to the ending.
You don't have the app?
What app?
There's an app that you can download that tells you when you can go to the bathroom.
Seriously?
Yeah, you
well,
need it.
Of course, normally I never go to the bathroom, but I'm trying to drink at least 65 ounces of water a day, and so that hinders my movie going.
That's why I don't drink alcohol during movies, because now that Showcase has a full...
Do you often have the chance to drink alcohol during movies?
Have you noticed that Showcase has a full bar?
I have noticed.
So I'm always tempted. I'm like, oh, that'd be kind of fun, get a drink, go see a movie. But then I would have to go to the bathroom during the movie, so I can't.
But what about at the Alamo Draft House?
I was under 21 when I went to the Alamo Draft House.
You just had milkshakes instead.
I didn't even have milkshakes. I can't have a thick milkshake in my stomach while I watch a movie. It's just
you have so many rules.
Yeah, I can't do it. I like to have.
I can't have alcohol. I can't have milk. I can't have water.
No, I can have water, like a little bit of water and Sour Patch Kids, and then that's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Well, maybe the Sour Patch Kids absorb all the water.
I think so, because I just saw La La Land and I didn't have to get up at all. That's like a 2 hour
Well,
movie.
and that's the thing. All these Oscar movies, they're always 2 hours or more.
Yeah, Manchester by
Always.
the Sea was over 2 hours.
Right. That I had to take an energy shot in the middle of it. Not.
Wait,
I'm
did
a
you see
mess right
that?
now.
Have you seen that? You didn't see it last time we were.
I hadn't. I have seen it. I just saw it
Oh,
recently.
thoughts?
I really liked it a lot.
Yeah,
I mean, I had ever, I would have gone not knowing anything. So here's the funny thing. I thought it took place in Manchester, New Hampshire.
that's where I live.
Is it? I
Yeah,
mean, that's the only Manchester that I know. You know what I mean? I know. And then afterwards, I was like, well, why is he in Mass? Why do they talk like they're from Massachusetts?
we didn't know until the end of the movie.
No, not till the end, but like when it first started, like he was living in Boston, and
Right.
then he has to go to Manchester, and so I was expecting him to go to New Hampshire. Now I didn't know that he didn't go to New Hampshire, but then when all the people there were talking like they were from Boston, I was like, okay,
Also, Manchester, New Hampshire is not by the sea.
it isn't.
No, it's in the middle of the sort of like southern, but in the central part of the
So
state.
it's an alternative fact.
Yes, it's an alternative fact. Also,
Where did they? Do you know where they filmed it?
in Manchester by the Sea, Massachusetts. Like that's a nickname for the town of Manchester.
Oh yeah,
Massachusetts.
okay. And you know what? I watched the credits, and Matt Hedges, who you know, right?
I don't
He's
think
one
so.
of my former students. He worked in the camera department on that movie because
Oh,
he's now
awesome.
Boston now. Yeah, so that was exciting.
See, I thought it was Manchester, England.
we're really screwed up.
So I thought he was going
You're
to
like,
fly to England.
why? These are not English accents.
Yeah.
When did the English sound like the Bostonites?
I really like Casey Affleck too. He was good in that movie.
Yeah, I didn't expect to really care too much about him, but I did. I did really enjoy it. I did really enjoy it.
I don't remember the opening scene though. What was that opening sequence?
He is the opening scene. Him? No, the opening scene is him in his janitorial job, like shoveling the sidewalk, throwing stuff out on the dumpster.
Yeah.
Sort of to show that that's what his life is like. This
Yeah.
is all he has.
What did you think of the script? I thought the script was amazing for that movie.
I did. I was very shocked at the big event that happens. I didn't expect that to be what it is.
It's
I don't
pretty
wanna spoil it.
horrifying.
It was pretty horrifying. And then it's horrifying, one, and then when you find out later what the cause of that was, it's even more horrifying.
Yeah.
Because at first I thought, okay, it's an accident, that's horrible. But then later I was like, wow, no wonder why this is who he is.
But then it's interesting because that scene happens, that big tragic scene, but then you're kind
Right.
of like laughing the next scene and like
Right.
it's sort of all over the place, but that's why it's very realistic because in real life you're not always sad, you're not always happy. So like there's really tragic things and then there's also really hilarious things.
Right. Right.
And I believe the younger kid is nominated as well as Casey Affleck for
Yeah, the younger kid won a SAG award.
yeah.
I saw some of that ceremony.
Did you see
Yeah.
Winona Ryder's facial expressions?
I did not get that far because that was on a night. I think that was on the night was that on a Sunday? I think that was the
Yeah.
night that I went to see Silence, and that was very long. So I got home and I started watching it, and then I was like, I got to go to sleep, so I stopped it at some point.
Yeah, there was something
So-
going on with her face during the
Okay.
Stranger Things.
Okay.
Except I don't know what was up with her. Okay, it's your turn, right?
Is it my turn?
I think it's your
all
turn.
right.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll go to my next one.
Okay.
Should I take the price tag off this? I'll just show you this cover.
Okay.
So I picked 1961 West Side Story
West Side
as my next
Story.
one. Have you seen this movie?
I've seen the movie. I was a younger kid. I've also seen the play. I remember.
Okay.
I don't remember either of them.
Let me guess. You saw the movie because in your high school you had to read Romeo and Juliet, and they stuck a videotape in and showed. No.
My parents showed me the movie before I was in high school.
Okay.
Um,
So I've seen this numerous times projected in a theater. I don't know. I meant to look up if it was. Do you want to look up if it was shot in CinemaScope? It was some extreme widescreen technology.
let's see.
And I've seen it. I actually saw it once at the projected at the Providence Performing Arts Center.
It's 65 millimeter.
65 million. Okay, that's
Yeah.
what it is. So it starts with, I wrote it down because I wanted to be correct here. There's a 5-minute overture, and all that's on the screen are little lines. Do you remember this? And the colors change. The background color changes for 5 minutes. Okay.
Okay.
And then after 5 minutes, the lines sort of transform into the buildings on the lower tip
Oh,
of
that's
Manhattan.
cool.
Right. And so then no one actually speaks until about 10 minutes because there are all these shots just of the gangs in New York. And it's leading up to the first dance number.
Yeah, I remember being a kid and wondering why gangs are dancing all the time in New
Yeah.
York.
Yeah.
I saw the play as well at Trinity in Providence. You
Okay.
ever go there? I remember enjoying both, but I don't remember anything about them. I know it's
Okay.
Romeo and Juliet, though. That's
Right.
so.
Yeah, I mean, when you first said open, this is one of the things that came into mind too, because again, you're sitting in a theater. I mean, most of these experiences I've had, actually, I feel like I saw Hard Day's Night in a theater too when it was re-released.
In 1964, you saw it?
In 1964. I think they re-released it like maybe, I don't know, 5 to 8 years ago. I think I saw it in
that's awesome.
Boston. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's just when do you see a movie where you're sitting in a theater for 5 minutes and there's no images
Not
on
anymore.
it? Never. And then I don't know. I wonder. There might have been an intermission in the original projection of this movie too, sort of like in Tarantino's Roadshow version.
Right.
Like you could, again, when you go in to see a movie this movie is what? It's 153 minutes.
Jeez.
So that's a long time to sit in one place.
I didn't realize it was that long.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. And that's starring Natalie Wood.
It is starring Natalie Wood. None of the people really. I don't think most of the people did not use their real voices for the singing. Yeah.
She's also in Rebel Without a Cause, which in La La Land they go to see Rebel Without a Cause.
Yes, and they go to the observatory there too.
I've seen
Yeah.
Rebel Without a Cause. Have you?
Oh yeah, many times.
James Dean.
Yeah.
Again, I don't remember it because I was younger, but
So that is an interesting. That is an interesting opening sequence. Do you remember what that is?
if you said it, I might.
So it's him lying down on the ground, and like there's a monkey playing cymbals that's like walking around in front of him.
Yep. I don't remember that.
Okay.
I have to rewatch it. He has like 3 movies, right? He died really young, so.
Yeah, I think that's the opening sequence. I'm pretty sure.
don't know.
I'm pretty sure it is. I'm pretty sure it is.
I'll have to watch it again.
And then it goes into the movie starts there in the police station.
Okay.
That's where he meets Natalie Wood's character.
Isn't there a character? Yeah, the one who plays Johnny, who like killed some puppies or something. I remember that he had some sort of issue.
Lato?
Yeah. He did something with puppies, I think.
Yeah, I mean his character. His parents are absent. He's like raised by the housekeeper.
Yeah, he's got issues.
And he has issues, and he starts treating James Dean and Natalie Wood's character sort of as his parents.
Right. Okay. I have to go back and watch it.
Okay.
Okay.
We could literally spend all day rewatching movies that we watched before and don't remember.
I know. It's like I didn't even see them. They're completely erased from my memory.
You can only how much stuff can you keep in there?
You can't. Not a lot. So my next opening scene, I think it's my turn. Apocalypse Now. The first part with the Doors music playing, and then sort of like the fire in the jungle, and then the fan and the.
You do a good fan.
Thank you. It's actually a helicopter.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, that one's pretty
If
great.
any of my students need some Foley helicopter work, I'm going to say call Christian.
If any of your students are doing movies with helicopters, you have to stop it because it sounds expensive. But so you probably know this. So Martin Sheen, in that opening scene when he's kind of like going crazy, he was kind of actually going crazy as they were filming the scene.
Yeah.
And he punches a mirror at one point, which I don't believe was supposed to happen. And I remember listening to an interview. I think it might have been on Inside the Actors Studio with him, and he was talking about having a heart attack during the movie. And they were in the middle of the jungle, and they finally got him to a hospital, and he's like being rushed into the emergency room, and his wife looked at him. She's like, "It's only a movie."
But wait, who had a heart attack?
Martin
Coppola
Sheen.
had a heart. I thought Coppola had a heart attack.
I know Martin Sheen did because I heard him say it on
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I think Coppola had a heart attack.
Movie was a mess, right?
That movie was a mess. There's a documentary. Have you seen it? I think it's called Hearts of Darkness.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
You should watch that. I don't understand how people do things like that in such crazy conditions. Like, that's nuts.
They shot it in an actual war zone in the Philippines. They were using helicopters that were currently being used for war purposes for the movie.
And Marlon Brando would only go there. They had to pay him like a gazillion dollars, and he only would work. And he was crazy.
And he showed up
Fat.
Yeah.
He was really fat.
So if you see the movie, he's in darkness for the whole movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it, after all that, it turned out to be a really good movie. So
yeah, you should watch Hearts of Darkness, because I think I learned all that stuff from there. Like, they couldn't, like, he was supposed to get there and he wasn't coming there, and Coppola was literally having, probably not at that point a real heart attack, but like, so they're on schedule, and and then they were charging him all this money, and it's crazy.
Yeah, so I actually love that movie, though. I think that I might like that movie better than The Godfather. I don't know. It's
I feel like that when I went to see Silence, it reminded me of that in terms of sort of like the desolateness of the environment they were in. There's a lot of shots with just sort of like beaches and reeds and, grass, and, they're in the middle of nowhere in Japan.
Yeah.
And it reminded me a little bit of that.
So the setting kind of becomes its own character.
Yeah, and the torture.
Yeah. There's a torture scene in Silence.
Oh my God. Do you know what this movie is about?
Isn't it about Liam Neeson? They can't find him, so they send 2 other monks to go find him.
Yes, but it's the monks are basically Christian ministers that go there to find him, but they're also practicing Christianity, which is outlawed in Japan. So when the Japanese find people that are practicing Christianity, they kill them by either lighting them on fire or tying them to crosses and letting the ocean come over on top of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so 3 hours of that's not very uplifting.
Martin Scorsese spent how many years trying to get that movie made?
My cousin was saying like 23 or 28 or something like that.
Was it worth the wait?
I want to read about that. It's tough because, for me, it's hard for me to understand, like, okay, so these people believe in Christ and the Japanese, authorities don't want them to, so then they kill them. I'm like, who cares what they think? You know what I mean?
You're not thinking in terms of...
I'm not thinking in terms of, like, historically, but it was hard for me to, like, it just seems so absurd. I mean, I know that's how it was through history, but it just seems so absurd for me to say, oh, you don't believe what I believe, then I'm going to put you in a fire pit. Like, that's crazy.
Well, what was it about this? It's based on a book, I think.
Yeah, I think it is.
What is about that book that he wanted to make that movie so bad?
I don't know. I'd really like to read about that. That would be very interesting.
Yeah. He's getting up there in age, too. He's getting old.
He is. And that movie is only nominated for cinematography, I think.
It came out at kind of a weird time. It came out towards the end of the year, almost into this year. It just started showing around here, like, within the last few weeks.
Right. And a movie like that, they can't show as often because it's so long, and they can't really show it 3 times a night. I don't even know if there was another screening. I went to, like, a 6 o'clock show. I don't even know if there was another one.
Yeah, so it's really... It's a passion project for Scorsese.
Yeah, yeah. But, I mean, can you imagine how much it must have cost?
I can't... Well, I could look it up, actually, yes.
You want to look it up? Let's look.
Silence movie budget. Let's see. $40 million.
Wow.
So it costs a lot of money, yeah.
Yeah.
Where I think Manchester by the Sea, what did that cost? Like $5 million or something along those lines? Do you have another movie?
I do, and I feel like this. So I also then chose American Graffiti.
George Lucas?
Yeah, George Lucas. So that's 1973. So that movie starts with, and we sort of had talked about diegetic sound before.
Yes.
So that movie starts with Rock Around the Clock playing, and it's really playing from the radio, but you don't really realize that until once things actually start.
That's another one of those scenes that I think when you're in a film class and you're talking about diegesis, they show that scene, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And then I know that, so again, I rewatched the opening scene before we got online today to do this. And so I know that there's this one scene where character of Toad, he drives his like little moped into the Mel's Diner. So the shot is just of Mel's Diner, and the credits are in neon going over it.
Yep.
And then he drives in, and he stops the thing, but it like jets forward, and he hits a soda machine. And I know that was actually a mistake. Like that wasn't really supposed to happen, but they sort of kept it in because it sort of goes with his nerdy character.
Isn't there also a part where a cop car kind of the whole bottom half gets ripped off?
Yeah, they tie something to it,
Yeah.
and then they pull the whole thing out from underneath.
They tested that on MythBusters. And
Oh, really?
It
And
didn't work. That wouldn't
didn't work?
happen. Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting. That's interesting that they tested that. Because of the movie they tested that?
Yeah, I think it was like a movie-themed episode, so they decided to do
Okay.
American Graffiti.
Okay.
It's funny to me that's George Lucas, because now you just think about Star Wars so much, and this was
No, right?
before Star Wars, right? So
Yeah. And they're playing, so there's this theater that Gene Rosati turned me on to in New York called the Metrograph, which they screen everything on film there, or most things on film.
Oh, awesome.
And so I think this month they're doing films of the 70s, and they're screening on, and this is one of the things that's playing. So
that's pretty cool. I'm gonna get sidetracked. So when you talk about 1970s movies, a lot of people say that's the best decade of film ever. Do you agree?
that's hard. You ask hard questions on
I
this
know.
podcast, Christian. I don't know. It's hard for me because most of the things that I've seen from the 70s, I sort of remember things that I see in the theater more than I remember things that I would watch like on a TV.
Yeah.
And since I was born in the 70s, I didn't really get to the movies that much.
Yeah.
So,
Because you have like both Godfather 1 and 2. You have
well, sure. And then you have, right. Well, and then at the end of the 60s and beginning of the 70s, you had all those films that were sort of very groundbreaking in their content, right? Like Bonnie and Clyde and The Graduate, and they were really pushing the boundaries of what content could be in motion pictures.
I took a 70s cinema course when I was at URI.
Yeah.
But
what else did you watch?
We watched like movies that you wouldn't think of immediately when you thought of the 70s. We watched the Stepford Wives, the original Stepford Wives.
Okay, I've never seen that.
We watched the movie Clute. I don't know if you've seen that.
Jane Fonda.
Yeah, Jane Fonda. We watched because we also watched Coming Home with her and John Voight.
Yep.
And Bruce Dern is in that as well.
Okay.
Which I really liked that one. And then my favorite that we watched all semester was Dog Day Afternoon.
Okay. Yep.
With Al Pacino.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty cool course. There was also movies we watched that I hated, but
like what were the hating movies?
I'm trying to remember. That was my junior year, so it's been a while.
And did you come to some type of conclusion about like something that these movies had in common?
We probably did. I don't remember what the conclusion was.
I mean, it's hard because if you think about it, if you said, okay, movies from the 90s, talk about them in general, like that's a lot of different things.
Yeah.
I can sort of see, if things are reactionary to something that's happening culturally, but you would think that might happen more towards, clustered together in one sort of area between a few years.
If I had to think about a decade that all movies were pretty similar, I would actually think about like the 1920s and like slapstick comedies when all those movies were silent slapstick comedies.
When people had expectations of what they were going to see.
Yeah.
There weren't any surprises. It's like, yeah.
Do you have a favorite silent film?
So I saw, I think Buster Keaton in The General. I think it was Keaton, right? And I saw it with a live orchestra performing the score, which was really sort of amazing.
That's really cool. You said that in New York?
So, no, in Providence. So I think that, when things were happening, they would, cymbals would clash or whatever. So there would be some sort of like sync to it, sort of. So that was really awesome.
1926, Buster Keaton directed it as well.
Okay.
And the whole movie is available on YouTube.
Oh, interesting. So, with the live orchestra, do you have to provide your own live orchestra?
You have to play the music yourself.
Okay. They send
on a piano, yeah.
They send you the notes.
Right, exactly. Okay, so I've got another one, opening scene. Boogie Nights.
Okay.
The continuous shot in Boogie Nights when the camera sort of turns in that really weird way and then it goes into the club and that music's playing. You must know the song. I don't know the name of the song. It's really famous. Hold on.
Again, that's a movie that I've seen a long, long time ago.
You haven't seen it recently?
No, I haven't. And weirdly enough, I read a paper that the student was referencing that movie today.
So that's why I saw your Facebook status.
Oh, really?
I
Okay.
commented Boogie Nights on the Facebook status. That's a pretty interesting topic to write about.
Well, it was interesting because it was the response was just supposed to be about three different articles that I would never have connected it to that, but he found a way to do it. He was sort of saying that Mike Figgis, his attitude toward filmmaking was sort of like the same type of attitude when people switched from shooting on film to shooting on video, and then connecting it to the porn industry. So it was really interesting. So
Well,
what's the song? Did you find it?
Yeah. You can't hear it, can you?
No, I can't.
I wonder if I just take my headphones out, you'll be able to hear it. Ready?
Yeah, that's right.
We're doing audio on the. Okay, here we go. Can you hear it?
Yeah. Oh yeah, the best of my love.
Yeah. So that's the
Yeah.
opening scene.
Okay.
Perfect song for that opening scene.
I should watch that again.
Netflix, I believe.
Okay.
Also, there's a really great scene in the middle, the Sister Christian scene. Do you remember that one?
What is it? So I remember that movie, that song being a big part of that movie, but what happens in that
They're
scene?
going to try and sell some fake cocaine for money because none of them have money anymore.
Okay.
And there's this little Asian kid in the background. He's lighting off fireworks and he's throwing the fireworks and they keep like blowing up.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a really great scene. So, also one of my favorite movies.
What year is that movie from?
1997, I believe.
Okay. Wow.
We're,
I saw that in the theater too.
I was talking about recently like young directors, and P.T. Anderson was 27 when he made Boogie Nights.
That's insane.
Yeah. Well, the most insane one I've heard is Orson Welles was 25 when he made Citizen Kane. So.
Wow. So then, but Punch Drunk Love came out before that, right?
No, so Punch Drunk Love is 2002, I want to say.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is also now available on Criterion Collection.
Right. And that was another one that in New York they were screening that with a live orchestra playing the score.
I wanted to go to that too.
I would have loved to have seen that.
Yeah. That was 2002, which is another opening scene I like because it's just him alone. Do you remember he's alone at the desk? You've probably seen it a million times, right?
Yeah.
And I like when movies start with one shot and hold it.
Mm-hmm.
And seeing Adam Sandler do that too was also pretty interesting.
Yeah, that movie is so visual. It's like, and the score is such an important part of it. I mean, just from the get-go, it like makes you very tense.
It's
and
bizarre.
you don't even know why.
Yeah, it's a very bizarre movie. I don't know. I don't know what goes through Paul Thomas Anderson's head, but that guy's a genius.
What was the last film that he did? I feel like I didn't like it. No, I did not like it at all.
Inherent Vice.
Yeah, I didn't like it.
Yeah. He's got a new one coming out too.
I couldn't get into that at all. I did not have any clue what was going on, why things were happening, but I guess that's really what the book is like.
Yeah, it's rated pretty low online, which is rare for him. So
we saw that. I was in New York City, and Matt DeGennaro and I went the weekend that it opened, and we were trying to get in. They had like a 35 millimeter screening and a digital screening, but we couldn't get tickets to the 35 millimeter screening. And I think I might have fallen asleep in part of it because I really had no idea.
It's long, 2.5 hours long.
Yeah, and it's long.
Yeah.
It's long.
Do you have another opening scene?
I have one more DVD here, and I picked, surprise, surprise, The Breakfast Club. So that. And probably if I hadn't rewatched these scenes, I probably couldn't explain them to the detail that I am, because it's like I have a sense of what it is, and I know it introduces the characters in some type of voiceover, but I didn't realize that like the song "Don't You Forget About Me" starts, and it's just credits on a black background, and that lasts for a decent amount of time until the David Bowie quote comes up, and then that you realize smashes. And then on the other side of it is the school. And then Anthony Michael Hall gives that voiceover where he talks about, how you see us and where, the criminal, the nerd, the princess, that type of thing. And then it goes into that beginning.
See, I've seen that movie probably one or two times. And I remember the ending, like we said before. I remember the ending where he like pumps his fist in the air. That's what I remember from that movie. I
Yeah.
can't remember the beginning until you just said that. So
Yeah.
that's a surprise pick for you. I didn't see that coming.
Do you have more? How many more do you have?
They're all in my head. I really don't write a lot of stuff down before we do episodes. Well, let me think. I had a bunch that I was talking about today. And now I can't remember what they were. I said all of Apocalypse Now, Boogie Nights. So do you have an answer for the most famous opening in movie history then?
I don't know what the most famous opening would be. I mean, the first thing I thought about is A Touch of Evil, Wells's film, where it opens with that long take. But I'm like, is that the very beginning of the movie? And now that we're talking about it, I actually think that it is.
Yeah, I think so too. That's another one you see in film classes.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Okay. Well, I think we did pretty well with our opening scenes. I don't think we narrowed it down to the best in history, though.
I think that's very tough.
You're gonna have to come back.
I think you should have your listeners give their opinions.
All right, listeners.
I'm
please
sure
vote.
we forgot so many. I'm sure we did not mention something very, very important.
Well, yeah. Yeah, there's probably a lot we missed. All right, let's get to my new segment that's not new
Okay.
anymore. What
All
are
right.
you watching?
Well, I've been trying to get to see as many Oscar movies as possible.
Yep.
Which has been hard because of this water thing. So like, and today I was doing this like cleanse, so I couldn't really eat anything, which is not helpful to go to a movie for. So
Yeah, definitely not.
So I saw Silence last week. I saw Captain Fantastic, which I really liked.
We can
Have you
talk
seen
about that too. Yeah,
That's
I
on
saw
that's on iTunes. Did you watch it on iTunes?
I watched it on demand.
Okay. I really like that. I mean, I sort of got a sense. I sort of knew that it was about a guy and he raised his kids non-traditionally, and then they had to then interact with the grandparents. But I didn't realize it was going to be under those circumstances. So I thought that was pretty good.
Are we supposed to root for him though?
That's tough because at the beginning I felt like I was, and then near the end I felt like I wasn't really sure anymore.
Right, because they kind of make the grandfather out to be a villain,
Right.
and he's not really doing anything wrong.
Right.
But
then, did you? One of the problems I had, and this could be a spoiler if anybody hasn't
Spoiler
seen this,
alert.
when I say it.
Yeah.
So after he leaves the kids with the grandparents,
Yep.
and then he gives them the grandparents all their clothes and everything, and then they're just all stowed away in the bottom of the bus. And then I'm like, okay, number one, how did all those kids fit in the bottom of that bus?
Yeah.
And was that safe? And number two, now they have no clothes.
Right. How how did they find him? So they were hiding in his bus the whole time? Is that what was happening?
I think so. I mean, it was very poignant in the fact that they weren't going to desert him
right.
in any way. But when the girl falls off the roof, I was like, oh my God, like that is crazy.
Yeah.
But
it had a happy ending though. They went to school and had a normal life. So I thought it was pretty good.
I'm trying to think what else did I saw. So I'm going to see hopefully Loving next week.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to watch Hell or High Water tonight, but
it's
now
only 8:30.
It's only 8:30, but there's some TV that I have to get to tonight, so now I don't know.
What is it?
My favorite guilty pleasure, which is Nashville on CMT.
Didn't they cancel that?
ABC did, and then the Country Music Channel picked it up. So
I
now
don't watch a lot of
episodes
CMT.
on that. You don't?
No.
But you know what? To be honest with you, and it might be starting tonight or not, there's a new program on CMT that's going to come after Nashville in February sometime, and it's about the history of Sun Records. So it's a narrative, but it's like about Elvis and Carl Perkins and Jerry Lee Lewis, and that looks pretty good.
Oh, cool.
So I'm watching that. What else have you seen lately?
So I just finished that OJ Made in America documentary that Josh and I will be discussing next week.
Okay.
I highly, highly recommend it.
Okay. Well, I was very confused about that because I saw that was nominated for an Oscar, and then I looked it up, and it said this was a multi-part series. But don't things that are nominated for Oscars have to play in theaters?
I don't know, because now Netflix has sort of changed the game a little bit, so I don't know if they have to play in theaters. Because wasn't that movie Beasts of No Nation nominated for an Oscar a few years ago? That was a Netflix movie.
What's Beast of No Nation? I don't know
Beasts
what that
of
is.
No Nation, yeah. That was the movie. Yeah, that was a Netflix movie with Idris Elba. What's his name? You know what I'm talking about? That was last year, 2 years ago, 2015.
But maybe
No, sorry, Golden Globe. Never mind.
okay.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Yes, playing theaters.
I feel like I mean I'll have to look that up, but maybe it's just the stuff in the Best Picture and Actor category. I
Yeah.
don't know,
Yeah.
but that seemed weird to me. So I was like, oh, that can't be it because that's multiple parts and that's not a movie.
Yeah. It's amazing. And I was too young to remember the O.J. Simpson trial. Do you remember it?
I was in college at URI.
Did you
Yeah.
watch it on TV?
Uh, I remember where I was when he was driving the Bronco to
Yeah.
escape the police.
Yeah.
That was in the summer. And then the trial was on when I was at URI. I don't really remember sitting and watching the trial, but I do remember I was in the student union when the verdict was read.
That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
So now I've also heard really good things about the Ryan Murphy show about the O.J. Simpson
With
trial.
Cuba Gooding and John Travolta.
Right. So I really wanted to see that too, but I haven't gotten around to that either.
Yeah, that's the People versus O.J. Simpson.
Right.
It's weird that they both came out the same year.
There's a lot of OJ. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why. Now he's in jail. He's in jail for 30 years.
So how long did it take you to watch all of that?
So I watched 3 days basically, but not 3 days in a row. But I watched the first two one night, the second two the next night, and then the last one last night.
Okay. So you watched like 3 hours, 3 hours, and 2 hours?
Yes,
Or with-
but not in a
Okay.
row.
Okay.
But I could have. I honestly could have sat there for 7 straight
That's
hours.
crazy.
And watched
All right.
it.
Well, I'll have to try that.
Yeah, it's great. And then
Have you seen any of the other documentaries?
I have not. I would like to. I want to see the stuff that's not normally talked about.
Yeah.
I want to see the animated shorts.
Yeah.
So we'll see. And then I just saw La La Land,
Mm-hmm.
which I thought was great.
So I still need to see Lion and Moonlight.
Yeah, Moonlight I've seen, obviously.
I know. Yeah. You said it was really good.
Lion
So,
I want to see.
Technically, I could try and go during the day tomorrow, possibly, but I need to get some work done. I have to go out tomorrow night, so I'm just trying to figure out how to fit all this in.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's what I'm watching. So,
okay. Sounds good.
all right. Well, that is the podcast for February 2nd, Groundhog Day, 2017. You can check this out on iTunes. Well, you're already listening to it. So it's on iTunes, SoundCloud. Check out our website, mylifeisAmoviequote.com. Keith, I'm still waiting on your article to write on the website.
Okay. What do you want to write about?
Whatever you want.
Okay.
We have a few up there right now. You want to write about the Breakfast Club?
No, I don't know. All right.
Okay.
I'll think of something.
You should write about the greatest movie opening of all time.
Okay. I'm gonna have to think about that. I know. I feel like right after we get done with this, I'm gonna like text you in like a half an hour and be like, "Oh my god, what about this?"
We
You
can
know?
we can do part 2
Okay.
someday. But
Right.
well, thanks for coming on again.
All right. Thank you.
I will talk to you soon. I'm actually going to stop recording if I can find it.